Dear students, today in this lecture, we are going to discuss the events that took place during the civil disobedience movement. So as you already know that with the arrival of Mahatma Gandhi on the Indian political scene, some large scale mass movements have been employed to dislodge the British rule from India. So before the arrival of Mahatma Gandhi, there was one big such political mass movement. When I say mass movement, it actually means that all the nook and corners of the country participated in that. If not entire country, at least a wide part of our country participated in that movement. So first such movement is said to be the 1906 movement of Swadeshi and boycott. So the first such widespread movement was the Swadeshi and boycott movement of 1906. Swadeshi and boycott. So during that time, Mahatma Gandhi was in Africa. He was not active in Indian politics. So Mahatma Gandhi joined, or you can say came back to India in 1915 and took the political leadership in 1917. The first movement that he launched was the Satyagraha of Champaran, which we have already discussed. So then began the era of large-scale mass movement, all India level movement. So first such movement that Gandhiji led was the non-cooperation and Khilafat movement. So non-cooperation and Khilafat movement had occurred during the time period of 1920 to 1922. So after that, the biggest or the next biggest mass movement was the civil disobedience movement. So today we are going to discuss that what was this civil disobedience movement, what was the need for it, and what were its outcome, how did it help India inch towards its freedom. So let us see. So before getting into the details, we will have to understand the political scenario of that time. So unless we do that, it will be hard for us to understand that why was this movement launched. So let us understand what was the political scenario. So Calcutta session of Congress, which was held in 1928. So what were the outcomes of this session? So it was at the Calcutta session of the Congress that Nehru report was approved. What was this Nehru report? So when Simon Commission had come to India, the purpose of Simon Commission was to help or to get the feedback from Indians, and then Britishers would have made a constitution for India. Now understand, constitution for the Indians would be made by a commission which is entirely British. So Lord Birkenhead, who was the Secretary of State for India, he challenged Indians that you Indians are not capable of coming to a common agenda, coming to a common conclusion, and you will never be able to make a constitution for yourself. That's why we Britishers are doing it for you. So, Jawaharlal Nehru's father, this Nehru is not for Jawaharlal Nehru. This is for Motilal Nehru. So, Jawaharlal Nehru's father, Motilal Nehru, he accepted the challenge. He said that how can you say that we Indians are not capable of framing a constitution for ourselves? So he then took 1 year and prepared a report. So this report was like a framework of our constitution. So though it was never accepted by the British, but this was the first attempt made by Indians towards preparing their own constitution. So this Nehru report was prepared by Motilal Nehru. So in this Congress session of 1928, this Nehru report was approved. That means Congress said that, okay, we stand by this report, whatever the demands are being made in this report. So Congress decided that, so in this report, it was demanded that India be given a dominion status, dominion. So Australia, Canada, all these had already been given dominion status by British, because all these territories were under British crown. So was India. But India was brutally governed by Britishers. But now India wanted some kind of freedom. That means give us dominion status. Do not give us complete freedom. So dominion status basically means that Prime Minister would be Indian, President would be Indian, but India would still be under British control. So more or less, all the top leaders, all the top ministers would be Indian if dominion status be granted. So that was the main funda. So Congress endorsed this report. Congress decided that if the government did not accept a constitution based on dominion status by the end of the year, so they were having this session in December 1928. So they gave the government, the British government, 1 year's time. That means if by the end of next year you do not accept our demand of dominion status, then we will upgrade our demand. Now we are demanding dominion status, but if you do not give us dominion status, we would start demanding complete independence. And if you do not agree to that, then we would be free to launch a civil disobedience movement. So the decision that India or Indians should again start a mass movement was actually taken at Calcutta session of Congress. So that was being held in 1928. So now government was informed by Indians, by Indian politicians, especially by Congress, that we are giving you 1 year time to think over it. So after 1 year, we would be left with no other option, but we would start a civil disobedience movement. So this was conveyed to the government. Now let us see what events occurred during those 1 years. During those 1 years, what were the political activities that was happening in our country? So Gandhi ji started traveling the length and breadth of the country. Why? Because he had understood that now very soon Indian help or the help of Indian citizens would be required to launch a large scale movement. So in 1928 the ultimatum was given. So they had to wait till 1929 because they had given 1 year's time to the government to think. So during those 1 years, Gandhi ji traveled the length and breadth of the country to make public consensus, to make them aware that very soon your help would be needed. We have to start a large scale civil disobedience movement. The Congress Working Committee organized a foreign cloth boycott committee. So you remember this foreign cloth boycott, this had started during 1906 Swadeshi and boycott movement. So it was like that you collect all the foreign made clothes, make a pyre of it and then burn it publicly to humiliate Britishers and to also promote the Indian made clothes. So all this was happening during those 1 years. So finally, Gandhiji initiated the campaign in March 1929. That means this campaign of boycott and traveling across the country. So Britishers understood that this man is getting dangerous. He is asking the countrymen to start a movement. So finally, he was arrested in Calcutta. So this was followed by bonfires of foreign cloth all over the country. So as soon as Mahatma Gandhi got arrested, so entire country was up in anger and they started to burn bonfires. Same what I said, that collect British clothes and set them on fire. The most important event of that year was, I hope you recognize these two great persons. Shahid Bhagat Singh, martyr, great martyr Bhagat Singh and great martyr Batukeshwar Dutt. So, the most important development of the year was Meerut conspiracy case, which is also known as bomb explosion in Central Legislative Assembly by Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt. So, these two belonged to a militant outfit, Hindustan Republic Socialist Army. So they basically believe that until we employ violence, until we use violence, these Britishers are not going to listen to any of our demands. So what violence didn't mean that they wanted to kill Britishers. They simply wanted to show the Britishers that even we Indians have the potential to wreak havoc on you. So you know that Central Assembly was like the parliament of today. Today we have a parliament. So during those times it was known as Central Legislative Assembly. So these two young revolutionaries, so Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt, BK Dutt, they went into the Central Assembly. You can say they went into the parliament. The parliament was in session and they threw bomb. So throwing bomb does not mean that they wanted to kill somebody. They threw bomb so that it doesn't hurt anybody. So they threw bomb and they also threw pamphlets. So those pamphlets said that Britishers, be aware. If you do not listen to us, then we will make you hear through the voice of these bombs. So that was one major event of that year. And you know, after this incident, Bhagat Singh and many of his friends were arrested, and finally the great Bhagat Singh was hanged on 23rd March 1931. So he was hanged. So these kind of political activities were going on that year. That means Indians were preparing themselves. So all these was being noted by the British administration. So during that time, the Viceroy, or you can say the Governor General of India, was Lord Irwin. So he had to respond to the demands made by the Congress, because Congress had given them the ultimatum. And you can see the year was about to end. It was already October. So in October, Irwin responded to what he thinks about the demands made by the Congress. So this is known as Irwin's declaration. So what is Irwin's declaration? He is simply responding to the demands made by the Congress during Calcutta session of 1928. So he says in his declaration that, okay, first of all, let us understand that what was Irwin's declaration and who were the people involved. So it was not Lord Irwin alone, but he had the sanction and advice of the Labour government. So in 1929, the government in Britain was changed. So now Lord Ramsay had become the Prime Minister of Britain, and Lord Ramsay had no soft corner for Indians. He had no soft corners for Indians. And same was the case with Lord Irwin. So this declaration was, Lord Irwin was made on 31st October 1929. It was the combined effort of the Labour government and a conservative viceroy. The purpose behind the declaration was to restore faith in the ultimate purpose of British policy. So basically this declaration was made for Indians, that why you Indians are agitating, why are you trying to start a mass movement. So it was like telling the Indians that you should have faith in British policies, because British policies are meant for your own good, and we are developing these kind of policies so that first you Indians get trained in how to run a government. Only then we can think about giving you dominion status. So declaration was made in the form of an official communique. communication. So official communique in Indian Gazette. So Indian Gazette is basically a newspaper which is published even today by the government of India. So it is the official newspaper of Indian government. So in that newspaper, Irwin's declaration was published. So it was like an official opinion or official statement of the British government. So in that, he promised that let's come together and discuss. So Lord Irwin said that don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry, because Simon Commission have been sent to India for that purpose only, because Simon Commission. So he said that let Simon Commission submit its report. We will study that report and then we will let you know. He also promised that once Simon submits his report, then Britishers and the political parties of India, we will come together, we will sit together and have a discussion on the pros and cons of the Simon Commission. So he was basically asking Indians to wait. Please wait, do not be in a hurry, don't take any extreme step. Let Simon Commission submit its report, then we will have a round table conference. So it was like conference which includes all the stakeholders, round table. That means everybody must be included, because we are discussing constitution. This constitution is not only for Congress or for Muslim League, it is for entire country. So round table conference basically meant that all the political entities, not only Congress and Muslim League, other like Sikhs, British Indians, Anglo-Indians, depressed classes, everybody will be called for that meeting. So the Lord Irwin thought that after this declaration, everything will be, the political scenario will be calmed a bit. So those Indians who are thinking to launch a mass movement will calm down a bit. So what was the response to this Irwin's declaration? So since Irwin had announced that very soon we would be having a round table conference, so to give response over this, Delhi Manifesto was issued. So what was Delhi Manifesto? All the major political parties of India, they came together, they had a conference at Delhi, and they decided that what should we do about Irwin's declaration? How should we respond to it? So these leaders discussed among themselves and issued a set of proposals. So these set of proposals are known as Delhi Manifesto. So this was done in 1929, just after Irwin's declaration. So they were basically discussing that what should we do about these round table conferences that have been announced. So the proposals made were something like this. The proposal was that the purpose of round table conference should not be to determine whether or when dominion status was to be reached, but to formulate a constitution for implementation of the dominion status immediately. So these political leaders told Lord Irwin, or conveyed to Lord Irwin, that this round table conference that you are promising, it should not be about discussing whether to give dominion status or not. We are not going to discuss that. You have to give us dominion status. And this round table conference should be only about discussing how you are going to give us dominion status, what would be the terms of transfer of power. So do not think that you are going to discuss whether we will give dominion status or not. That is not the agenda. The agenda is how you are going to implement the dominion status. The next proposal was that the Congress should have majority representation at the conference. Why? Because the Congress claimed to have support from all the sections of the society, whereas all other groups like Muslim League, or you can say Ambedkar's political party, they were more or less concerned about political agendas of their own community. but Congress claimed to have support from all sections of society. So that's why Congress demanded that we should have majority representation at the conference. The third demand or the third proposal made to Lord Irwin was that there should be a general amnesty for political prisoners and a policy of conciliation. That means whosoever or whichever political prisoner was in jail must be released before round table conference takes place, and policy of conciliation. That means British should not simply arrest political leaders. They should inculcate the habit of having discussions. Do not simply arrest and put Indian leaders in jail. Develop the habit of, talking to them, discussing with them. So how was the response of Lord Irwin? So Viceroy Irwin rejected the demands made through the Delhi Manifesto. So as soon as Lord Irwin rejected this demand, it had become very clear that very soon a large-scale mass movement is going to be launched. Otherwise, these Britishers are not going to listen to any Indian demands. So now, what is the scenario? Lord Irwin has declared that we are going to have roundtable conference. The Indian politicians, they said, okay, if you want to have roundtable conference, these are the proposals or these are the conditions we want you to follow. Lord Irwin says, not interested, we are not going to accept any of your demands. So Congress have thought that now is the time to launch a large-scale movement. So to give shape to that, to discuss the plan, Lahore session of Congress was the venue. See, these sessions were already decided because every year in December, Congress used to have its annual session. So again, December came after October. After 2 months of October will come December. So in October, Delhi Manifesto was rejected. So Congress was to meet in December. So this session was held at Lahore. It is a historic session. Why? You will understand why this was historic. So just a few points that you need to remember, that Jawaharlal Nehru was nominated the president for the Lahore session of Congress. So this was the first time that Mr. Nehru was appointed. So he was 40 years old then. He was 40 years old when he became the president of the Congress for the first time. And it is also to be noted that most of the provincial Congress committees means state level Congress committees, they were not in favor of Jawaharlal Nehru becoming the president. Why? Because Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, these two people were not in support of Nehru report. They had opposed Nehru report. And now Congress is forwarding its demand on basis of Nehru report only. The other reason was his father Motilal Nehru. Motilal Nehru was the Congress president many times before this. So the objection was that both father and son cannot be made, father had already been made Congress president at least 2 times before this. So they were opposing this family culture. But still Mahatma Gandhi had full support for Jawaharlal Nehru. Why? Mahatma Gandhi, don't take it as a negative comment on Mahatma Gandhi. Why did Mahatma Gandhi support Jawaharlal Nehru? Because when Simon Commission was visiting India, Jawaharlal Nehru was largely responsible for creating large-scale mass movements. So Gandhiji had understood, he had observed him carefully, and he understood that this young man has the potential to organize, some large-scale mass movements. That's why Gandhiji thought that he is the most appropriate person under such circumstances. So Jawaharlal Nehru was nominated the president for the Lahore session. which was held in December 1929. So some major decisions were taken at Lahore session. What were these decisions? Round table conference was to be boycotted. Why? Because Lord Irwin had rejected the Delhi proposal, Delhi manifesto. Complete independence was declared as the aim of Congress because they had given 1 year's time for dominion status to be accepted, but dominion status was not accepted. So the ultimatum or the time was over. So now they say that we want complete independence, Purna Swaraj. So complete independence in Hindi is known as Purna Swaraj. So Congress Working Committee was authorized to launch a program of civil disobedience. So finally all the dates were discussed, that when and where and how we are going to launch. At midnight on the banks of river Ravi, because Lahore is situated on the banks of river Ravi, the newly adopted tricolor flag of freedom was hoisted by the President of Congress, Jawaharlal Nehru, amongst slogans of Inqilab Jindabad. So this is said to be the first hosting of the freedom, tricolor flag of freedom, because it was the newly adopted flag. So this flag was being hosted for the first time, and this session is historic because for the first time Indians are demanding Purna Swaraj or complete independence, because up till now they were only satisfied with the demand of dominion status. That's why this is historic session. 100 times, more than 100 times these questions have been asked, that at which session of Congress was the declaration of Purna Swaraj, they will use the word Purna Swaraj, or complete independence was proclaimed. So it was proclaimed at the Lahore session of Congress. Who hoisted the tricolor flag? This is one of the more common questions. So Jawaharlal Nehru hoisted the tricolor flag. Why? Because he was the president. So January 26th, 1930, because all this was happening in December of 1929. So they said that 1 month later, that means on 26th January 1930, was fixed as the first Independence Day celebration. Though India was not actually independent, but to bring excitement or to get public support in Lahore session itself. See, this was December 1929. So Congress told the general public, common public of India, that 1 month later, that means on 26th January 1930, let's celebrate our first Independence Day because we want full freedom. So question is asked, when was the first Independence Day celebrated by Congress? Never say 1947 15th August. It was 26th January 1930. And that's why this historic date, 26th January, is a historic date for Indian history. And that's why we today celebrate our Republic Day on 26th January, because on that day the constitution was fully operational, was brought into full operation. So all this happened at Lahore session of Congress. That means Congress have made it very clear that country, be prepared, very soon we are going to have a mass movement. Gandhiji's 11 demands. So to carry forward the mandate given by Lahore Congress, because in Lahore Congress it was decided that whatever Gandhiji will tell, we are going to follow. So it was up to Mahatma Gandhi to decide how this mass movement will be launched, what will be the policies and agendas of Congress. So to carry forward the mandate given by the Lahore Congress, Gandhiji presented 11 demands to the government and gave an ultimatum of 31st January to accept or reject these demands. So Gandhiji said that I am giving you one last chance. So he is telling to Lord Irwin that I am giving you one last chance if you want to stop us from launching this movement. So here are my 11 demands before you. Please accept this or reject this till 31st January. So the demands were reduced expenditure on army and civil services by 50%. Introduce total prohibition. Prohibition means liquor. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi was always opposed to people drinking liquor, smoking and all that bad habits. So introduce total prohibition. Carry out reforms in CID. So you need not remember all these demands, but as a teacher I will have to tell you. So change Arms Act allowing popular control of issue of firearms license. So Arms Act was very stringent. Indians were not at all allowed to buy arms. So Mahatma Gandhi said that please change this because it is discriminatory. Mahatma Gandhi did not want that all Indians should buy guns, but it was simply discriminatory. If Britishers can buy guns, then why can't Indians? Release political prisoner. Next demand. Accept postal reservation bill. So postal reservation bill was basically a demand that make stamps cheaper. Stamps, there was stamp duty. So make stamps cheaper. So if you have to send a letter from, let's say, Delhi to Madras, because during those times telephones were not that widespread. They have newly arrived on this scenario. So people used to write letters. So if you write letters, you have to use stamps over that, and stamps were very costly. So one demand was that make stamps cheaper. Reduce rupee sterling exchange ratio. So sterling was the currency, British currency used in many of its territories. Introduce textile protection because Indian cloth industry was suffering because the clothes made in Britain were very cheap and they were simply brought to India and dumped into India. That means Britishers used to bring bulk of clothes made in Britain and they used to dump in Indian markets. So Indian cloth industry was selling clothes which were not as cheap as the clothes made in Britain. Reserve coastal shipping for Indians. Reduce land revenue by 50%. Abolish salt tax and government salt monopoly. So this was one of the 11 demands. So what is Mahatma Gandhi trying to tell to Lord Irwin? That these are my 11 demands. If you want to accept it by 31st January, or if you want to reject it by 31st January, so that we will get a clear message what do you want. So please have a look at this demand. Abolish salt tax. So salt tax, so whenever if Indians have to buy, there was a tax, heavy amount of tax and salt was used by everybody, every single human being, rich or poor. So that's why Mahatma Gandhi made this demand, so that common masses get involved into this. So now, how did Lord Irwin respond to Gandhiji's 11 demands? Lord Irwin paid no heed to the demands made by Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi had given him the time till 31st of January. So he did not reply to Mahatma Gandhi's message. So Gandhiji then wrote another letter to him informing that Congress would soon launch a countrywide agitation and that Congress would settle for nothing less than attaining Purna Swaraj, complete independence. So now he writes to Lord Irwin to inform him that since you have not accepted our demands, my 11 demands, so from so and so date, he informed him the date on which Congress would be starting this mass movement, large countrywide agitation, and he also informed him that now Congress does not want dominion status. Congress would settle for nothing less than attaining Purna Swaraj. So we will see how things turned out in next part.